is one super important way that you can avoid getting sued when you are selling your home. Now, I am a realtor in the Northern Nevada market, so I'm sure that state to state there are different laws and regulations. So I'm just qualified to speak on our state, but I'm sure that there are similarities between states. That being said, in our state, we use a form called the Seller's Real Property Disclosure. It is often shortened in conversation or in file labelings as the SRPD. Now, what exactly is this form and what does it do? So let me tell you, and also, if you stay till the end of this video, I'm going to give you a few things that are not required by the state to be disclosed, and some of them are pretty surprising, so make sure you watch till the end. So basically, the function of the SRPD, or Seller's Real Property Disclosure, is for the seller to disclose all known material defects to the buyer about the home. And that includes anything, even if it has been repaired. Make sure that you heard that right. I'm going to say it again. These include anything that has also been repaired. Now, you are welcome to show records of the repairs that have been made. This is actually very common practice. So you'll often, when you are a buyer, receive the SRPD with receipts and engineering reports, anything that's relevant to the repairs that were done on the home. You're going to have the paper trail for that so that you can feel at ease, and also so that the seller has done their due diligence and really given you everything that they have to make you feel secure in the purchase of the home. Now, as the buyer, when you receive this form, you have 5 days to review and sign it. If there's anything disclosed that makes you feel like, ooh, maybe I really don't want to buy this house after all, you can actually back out within that 5-day period without penalty and get your deposit back. It's also really good practice and really common practice in our market for the seller, when they list their home with an agent, to have the SRPD included. In our MLS, there's a little D for documents. It's a tab that's like right on the MLS. A lot of people will include that with the listing so that that's just, disclosed and given right up front. It just kind of makes it so there's no 5-day waiting period. People just have what they need to feel informed to make an offer. If you list your home with me, this is something that I always try to get ahead of and do with the listing as well. It might feel really tempting to avoid putting things on there or omit certain things, especially if you're like, well, I've already fixed it. There's nothing wrong with the home. It's not really a defect. Don't go that route, okay? Because the thing is, if you had something repaired especially, there's a paper trail for that somewhere, whether it's a payment to a contractor or who knows, an inspection or some kind of insurance claim. Whatever has happened, you are going to have to disclose that to the buyer. And if you don't, and another problem were to arise and they were to check the records and see that you had omitted that, you can actually be sued. And that is something that could cause you to fall out of escrow in the best case scenario. But in the worst case scenario, you've already closed and now you're being sued after you've already sold the home. So just don't do that. Just take my word for it. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. It's easy enough to just disclose it. And honestly, even if it's something that hasn't been repaired, you're still going to want to disclose it, because chances are it's going to be discovered either by the home inspector or by the buyer later on anyway. One thing I do want to touch back on is that these are supposed to be known material defects. Now, if there's something you don't know about, by all means, you are not required to disclose that. This actually happened to me. The first home I ever purchased, when I went to go sell it, it was discovered during the due diligence period when the home inspector got underneath the crawl space and looked at the bathtub. There was a leak underneath my bathtub that I had no idea about that was causing pretty severe water damage, and I had actually been in contract with a buyer who backed out. This was before I was a real estate agent also, so it was really alarming to me at the time. So I feel for you on both sides of this. Once that was discovered, there was really no turning back. The buyer actually backed out, and so when we relisted the home and put it back on the market, at that point it was a known material defect. I had to disclose that to buyers, and I also had to offer a credit for that repair because it was a repair that I just didn't have time to handle on myself. So there's usually a lot of ways that it can be resolved, but the bottom line is that you have to disclose it. I've also seen situations where things are disclosed on the SRPD, everyone's aware, and then the home closes and the buyer, let's just say they rip out a wall, or they rip up a floor, or they're, doing some remodeling and things are discovered and they're like, well, why wasn't I told about this? And it's like, well, unfortunately, if the seller doesn't know and there's no record that says they should know, a paper trail saying they covered it up or they had the wall put in, you can go back, you could have your agent, and I've done this, go back into the MLS and look at previous listings. The listing will tell you what kind of flooring was there when the seller bought it. So if that stuff has been changed, then maybe there is a case for a lawsuit in that scenario. But if it's not something that they knew about, unfortunately, you're inheriting a problem, and that's just how it is sometimes when you're a homeowner, and that is kind of the brass tacks of it. And even sometimes you might end up with an immediate problem that nobody could have predicted. This happened to me when I purchased the home that I live in now. We bought the home, it was almost new. We're only the second owners, and it was built in 2015. We bought it in 2020, and we put in all new flooring, and 2 weeks after we moved everything in, a pipe exploded and wrecked the floors, and we had to redo all the flooring again. Fortunately for us, we did have homeowners insurance, so I do highly recommend that if you're buying a home, get homeowners insurance. If you are financing your home, that's going to be required of you anyway. But if you are doing a cash deal, make sure you don't miss that, because the insurance did cover the entirety of our floor replacement, which was really nice. I promised you guys that if you stayed till the end, I would give you a few really surprising things. Some are more surprising than others, but things that are kind of just interesting that in our state of Nevada are not required to be disclosed on the SRPD. So the first of those is whether or not the home was ever occupied by somebody with HIV, AIDS, or any other, life-debilitating, life-threatening disease that is not communicated by living in the same premises. The second one that is kind of surprising and in my eyes a little bit unnerving, but that's just because I have kids, whether or not the home is located within the proximity of a sex offender. Now with that one, you are able to do a little bit of the research on your own. There's this website called Family Watchdog. You can go to www.familywatchdog.us and you can actually look up and see if there are registered sex offenders in your area. I don't know, maybe it's better not to know, but I mean, as a parent, sometimes these are things that you just have to think about when you're moving with little kids. The third thing that's actually really surprising to me, given the toxicity and inherent chemical nature of this substance that does not have to be disclosed in the SRPD, is whether or not the home was ever used to manufacture or produce methamphetamines. Now, this one comes with a caveat that it doesn't have to be disclosed as long as it was removed by a certified entity. And last but not least, you do not have to disclose whether or not the home was ever a site for a felony. If you're thinking about making a move in real estate, I would love to be your free resource for you. You can actually book a call with me whenever it's convenient for you. There's a link to do that in the description box below. It's not obligatory of anything. It's just a chance for us to hop on the phone together and connect. I can help you articulate what your goals really are and help you reverse engineer the best strategy to help you accomplish them. And maybe we'll be a good fit to work together. And if you have any questions, I would love to also get them answered at that time. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. If this was helpful to you, that would really help me out. I put out new videos every single week about the Northern Nevada housing market, the Reno Sparks lifestyle, and of course, all things related to buying and selling real estate. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.